Imagine waking up in a country where everyone is making money.
Please, we beg you.
Banks are begging you to borrow. Stocks only go up. And even your barber is giving investment advice. What could possibly go wrong? Welcome to America, 1928. This is you. You work in a factory. You own a car. You own a radio. You own a vacuum cleaner in your house. You own stock.
The stock is going up.
You feel ahead of the game. You feel like this is the future and it belongs to you. But you do not own the money to pay for any of it.
I don't have actual money to pay.
And you are not worried, because no one is worried. It's after World War I. America is victorious. Factories that once made weapons now make refrigerators. Henry Ford perfects the assembly line. Cars go from luxury items to, hey honey, we can afford one. By 1929, there are more than 23 million cars on American roads.
Here we go.
I bought one. On credit, obviously. Consumer goods explode. Radios, washing machines, toasters, electric irons. If it plugs in, people want it, even if they don't need it.
Sir, this machine peels apples automatically.
I don't eat apples. But what if you did? Sold. A new idea takes over America. Installment buying.
Buy now, pay later.
Buy now, pay later. Think about consequences. Banks love it. Stores love it. Customers love it.
Love it.
Banker Bob.
You want a loan?
For a car? Sure. For furniture? Of course. For stock market investing? Ha ha ha. Absolutely. That's my favorite kind. By the late 1920s, Americans are swimming in debt, but it doesn't feel like debt. It feels like prosperity. It's 1928. You've never felt richer. The stock market has risen 6 times since 1921. Every week, the numbers climb higher. Every day, someone new becomes a millionaire. You're not studying companies anymore. You're investing in energy, in rumors, in tips from your barber.
Utilities are hot. Railroads are finished. Trust me.
You hesitate. He smiles.
Kid, spiritually, I'm a tycoon.
And somehow that's enough because everything keeps going up.
The market's booming. Look at these numbers.
Then you discover something better than hard work. Margin. Here's how it works. You put down $10, borrow $90, buy $100 worth of stock. If it rises 10%, you double your money. You feel like a genius. By 1929, nearly 40% of stocks are bought with borrowed money. Your neighbor refinances his house. Your cousin sells her furniture. A man down the street borrows against his life insurance because the line keeps going up. And when a line goes up long enough, you start believing gravity has been canceled. The president says poverty is nearly defeated. Economists call it permanent prosperity. Newspapers celebrate teenage millionaires. Wall Street throws champagne parties that last until dawn. You read the headlines, you hear the radio, you believe them.
This is a new era. Markets are smarter now.
You don't see the cracks forming beneath the floorboards because the music is still playing. Out in the countryside, farmers are drowning. During the war, they grew food for a starving Europe. Now Europe is recovering. Demand collapses. Crop prices crash. Debt piles up. Factories keep producing more cars, more radios, more refrigerators. But wages aren't rising fast enough for people to buy them. You don't notice because your stock portfolio just hit another record high, and records feel better than warnings. It's October 24th, 1929. You wake up expecting another ordinary morning in the greatest economy the world has ever seen. The market opens, and within minutes, it starts falling. Not dipping, not wobbling, falling. The ticker machines can barely keep up, spitting out paper like they're overheating. Numbers blur. Prices slide, faces change. By the end of the day, nearly 13 million shares have been sold. That's not trading. That's escape. Panic spreads like fire in a fireworks factory.
Sell everything! The market's crashing! I can't believe this is happening.
It's Black Thursday. The drop triggers fear. Fear triggers selling. Selling triggers more drops. And suddenly, it feels like everyone in America is running for the same narrow exit, but there is no orderly line. Only pushing, only urgency, only the sickening realization that the floor might not be solid. For a moment, powerful bankers step in and buy stocks publicly. Trying to calm the storm, it works, briefly, just long enough for hope to flicker again. And then the selling resumes. Remember margin? That brilliant little trick that made you feel like a financial genius. Now it comes due. When prices fall, the borrowed money doesn't disappear. It demands repayment immediately. Brokers call in loans. Investors who don't have cash are forced to sell at any price, which pushes prices even lower, which triggers more margin calls. And what was once a dip becomes a collapse. The magic trick reveals its secret. It was never magic, it was leverage. Black Tuesday, October 29th, 1929. 16 million shares are dumped onto the market. There are more sellers than buyers, far more. The Dow keeps falling. Within weeks, nearly 1/3 of the market's value is erased. Billions of dollars vanish. Not burned, not stolen, just gone. Crowds gather outside the stock exchange. Some stare silently at the building as if it might apologize. Some cry, some refuse to speak at all. You tell yourself it will bounce back. It always has. This time, it doesn't. Here's what most people don't understand. The crash was not the Great Depression. The crash was the spark. The real damage begins quietly, inside banks. At the time, banks aren't tightly regulated. There is no deposit
Where's my money
insurance.
going? To
If your
expenses
bank
and
fails,
loans.
your
But it comes
savings
back
fail
as
with it. And banks don't keep your money sitting in vaults. They loan it out. Most of it. So when rumors begin spreading that banks are in trouble,
Yeah, open the
people
doors.
rush to
Give us
withdraw
our
their
big bucks
savings.
now.
All at once. And when everyone demands their money back at the same time, the banks don't have it. They close. Just like that. Doors locked, lights off, savings erased. The domino effect? When one bank collapses, fear spreads to the next. Even healthy banks cannot survive a stampede. Between 1930 and 1933, more than 9,000 banks fail. Millions of Americans lose their life savings. You might still have a job, but your savings account, it may already be gone. Money disappears. As banks fail, money itself disappears from the economy. The money supply shrinks by roughly 30% between 1929 and 1933. That's enormous. And when money becomes scarce, spending slows, businesses sell less, factories reduce production, workers are laid off, the layoffs begin. At first, unemployment rises gradually, 3%, then 8%, then 15%, and it keeps climbing. Factories that once roared with noise fall silent. Machines sit cold. Men stand outside gates that no longer open. You search for work, so does everyone else. There are no jobs to be found. Deflation, the invisible spiral. Prices begin falling. That sounds good, until you realize why. When prices drop, people delay purchases. Why buy today if it will be cheaper tomorrow? So businesses earn less. So they cut more jobs, which means fewer people can afford to buy anything at all. It becomes a vicious cycle. Falling prices, falling wages, falling hope. The government watches. President Hoover insists
The economy is fundamentally sound.
he believes markets will correct themselves. He avoids aggressive federal intervention. But this isn't a normal downturn. It's systemic. And it's accelerating. The contagion spreads. The crisis doesn't stay in America. After World War I, the United States had loaned massive amounts of money to Europe. Now, American banks are failing. They call in those loans. Europe cannot repay them. Banks overseas begin collapsing too. Trade between nations contracts sharply. By 1932, global trade has fallen by nearly 2/3. The crisis becomes worldwide. A global depression, the realization. By 1931, the music is long over. Jazz clubs close. Factories stand silent. Banks lock their doors. You don't check stock prices anymore. You check want ads, and there aren't many. Unemployment is still rising. And what you don't know yet is that the worst years of the Great Depression are still ahead. It's 1932. 3 years after the crash. You thought
The economy would fix itself.
it didn't. Unemployment is 25%. 1 out of every 4 people who wants a job doesn't have one. Factories that once roared now sit silent. Industrial production has fallen nearly 50%. Half the machine has stopped. Without work, you stand in bread lines. Men who once owned businesses now wait for soup. Families lose homes and build shacks from scrap wood. Hoovervilles. Confidence isn't just low, it's gone. It gets worse. Then nature turns cruel. Drought hits the Great Plains. Wind follows. Dust storms bury farms. Crops fail. Families flee west looking for work. Many find nothing. At the same time, veterans march to Washington asking for promised bonuses. They are turned away by force. Something breaks in the country, not just financially, emotionally. People begin questioning the system itself. It's March 1933. Banks are still failing. Bread lines are still long. Franklin D. Roosevelt takes office.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
And instead of waiting, he acts. He closes every bank temporarily, inspects them, reopens the strong ones, creates deposit insurance so savings can't simply vanish.
This report looks good.
Panic slows. Trust begins to return, the New Deal. But safe banks don't create jobs. So the government hires millions, building roads, bridges, parks, schools. Young men plant trees. Artists paint murals. Paychecks return? Not everywhere, not instantly, but enough to restart movement. New rules are placed on Wall Street. Banks can't gamble with deposits anymore. Social Security is created, a safety net for old age. The system gets guardrails. By the mid-1930s, unemployment falls. The economy grows again, but it's fragile. When spending is cut too early in 1937, the economy dips again. Then war erupts in Europe. Factories restart, this time building weapons. Production surges, millions are hired. By the early 1940s, unemployment collapses. The Great Depression ends, not from one speech, not from one policy, but because jobs, spending, and confidence finally return. What you understand. You remember when you thought the line only went up. You remember the crash, the bread lines, the dust storms, the fear, and you learn the logic of it all. Too much debt plus too much panic equals collapse. Bank failures shrink money. Less money means less spending. Less spending means lost jobs, and rebuilding requires trust, rules, leadership, time. History doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes. And sometimes the next verse comes sooner than we think. Maybe in 2029?